Let's ask some basic questions tonight, viewers. Let me begin first with Erol Morkoc, senior spokesperson of the Republicans overseas, Troy Blackwell, former Deputy Chief Communication Officer of Kamala Harris. So let's get this conversation started. Erol Morkoc, thank you very much for joining us. What do you make of the fact that we're in day 31? The 1 month threshold is passed. The Iranians are not giving up. No one is walking or hurrying to the dialogue table to strike a deal with Donald Trump, which is what you would expect desperate opponents to do, because Trump has said this is your last chance. In fact, the Iranians are saying they don't really care about a conversation. The Iranian parliament has provoked by passing a law that authorizes it now to impose tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. That's hardly the act of somebody who is recoiling in terror.
Yeah, we certainly don't expect them to recoil in terror. They're a formidable foe in a real country that, of course, has lost 90% of their large ships. They've had massive explosions in their underground facilities in Isfahan just yesterday. They've lost the majority of their air force, if there ever was one that was comparable. And in every single situation, they've been blown out of the water. So if you said the US and China met in the Pacific Ocean, we lost our entire fleet, we lost our entire air force, our president, cabinet, everybody was killed. The top generals, Pete Hegseth, everybody was killed. But then you say, but you wouldn't want to fight us on the mountains of Appalachia. You're right, you wouldn't. And just like the United States is never going to be able to invade Iran with 6,000, 12,000 people, like you said, obviously the situation is now a situation that hasn't been seen since maybe in ancient time, where we are there for simply a destruction mission. We are going to keep destroying their military capabilities until somebody does emerge. And if it's day 31, if it's day 61, if it's day 91, the pain will be felt at the pump. But that's why you have a person like Donald Trump, somebody who's not going to be elected again. The only person who would expend this kind of political capital and enter into a war where he wouldn't get the neocon backing and all the rah, 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 most people on both sides of the party are against this war. So it takes an incredible amount of courage to do what's right in the face of over-mounting political short-term pressure. And that's what President Trump is bringing. And I think in the long term, you're going to see the regional powers step up as the United States is trying to extract itself from that area in some ways. Europe receives a majority of this oil.
Why are you extracting yourself if you want to get the job done? Why would you be looking for the exit door? What do you mean extract ourselves? Why are you asking?
Long term. So the U.S. has been overcommitted substantially since the fall of the British Empire into a region that we don't entirely have the ability to keep controlling, nor should we. These are functional, wealthy nations for the most part. And so the idea that Europe shouldn't be sending ships, that other countries shouldn't be joining this collective security order, that is the new world order Trump is bringing, which is a multipolar world order, which is good for India.
You can do that. You can do that without invading another country.
We're bombing them, but not invading them.
Whatever. You will probably have to do that at some point.
If you're going to have to.
No, I know it's a huge. I'm saying that you might have to make that leap because you're not achieving what you set out to do. Let me tell you what you set out to do, because these are not my words, these are Trump's words. Number one, he said first that we must be able to defang Iran to the point where it can't pose a threat to any of its neighbors. That's not happened. There's a likelihood that won't happen.
The degradation of the launches is quite a lot.
Okay,
actually.
so
I mean, it has happened. It's been
if
reduced.
If it's happened, then your mission is over. Go home.
Well, we're trying to, but the mission, of course, it'd be more effective if our partners stepped in. But we're not going to go home and just completely go home. This is going to be a multi-decade extraction where the U.S. empire retreats from the Middle East. But we want to do it in a way that leaves a positive world behind, as we have done with our allies in Germany or in Japan. The United States generally extracts from an area and leaves it better off.
In Afghanistan, in Pakistan. You've done a great job.
All have been disasters because they've been run by American neocons who don't know how to leave, which is what Donald Trump is going to do. Leave. That's the big difference.
Okay. Well, let's open this up. Let's get Troy Blackwell into this. Troy Blackwell, how do you read what Erol Morkoc is saying tonight?
With respect to my colleague, I think that President Trump is writing a check that he can't cash. What we're seeing right now is that Americans do not want boots on the ground, which is what we are pretty much getting ourselves into. President Trump has us in a war that has no strategy. There's no exit strategy. In terms of Americans, both Democrats and Republicans, I think we're all looking at each other about what happened to the America First agenda. We're spending over $10 billion a day in this war that we have no strategy for. Americans are concerned that the $10 billion a day that is going to this war with no exit strategy, that could be funding healthcare for over 1 million Americans. That could be going towards universal childcare. That can be going to support our education system or our seniors. You know, in order to fill up your gas tank, we're spending over $4 per gallon. We have airlines like JetBlue, which are raising the cost of bag fees because of the fuel of gas and diesel. So we're just in a precarious position, and Americans are upset, both Democrat and Republican. And again, I don't think that President Trump has an exit strategy. And Pete Hegseth had even admitted today, reporting is coming out, that he's admitted that we haven't thwarted Iran's nuclear capabilities. So basically, what are we doing here? And I think to see that the president is lashing out at our allies, particularly the United Kingdom and France, over their allyship and how we are being involved in this, I think it just sets for a poor precedent. I think we're alienating our allies. We're alienating Americans on both sides of the aisle who are curious about what happened to the America First agenda. And again, I think the question also is, President Trump won't be here in 2 years, right? So how will we as a nation move forward if we're getting ourselves into a war where we have no exit strategy and people are concerned?
Erol Morkoc, I think these are important issues that have been raised. I mean, defanging Iran, that hasn't happened. How do you even know how much of the arsenal the Iranians have underground in those missile cities? No one has gone there and counted them. We're only depending on second, third-hand sources for information. They could be wrong, could be very, very wrong, number one. Number two, no question of degrading nuclear capabilities of Iran. Your own bosses are saying that they haven't. The war managers today, we heard them. They said that, look, there's a long way to go. Neither have you taken control of that nuclear fissile material, which is slipping all over Iran. So where's the military objective that you have been aspiring to, sir?
So again, not to repeat myself, but when you sink the entire Navy, destroy the entire Air Force, and you destroy multiple stockpiles, as we saw the B-2 bombers do just yesterday in Isfahan, as we saw in Fordo, when you are degrading your enemy's capacity day by day by day. Now, to speak to what Pete Hegseth said, he said if one Iranian missile still exists, then Iran is technically a nuclear threat until we find where everything is. So the U.S. Department of War is taking no chances. But the idea, it's sort of ludicrous that we haven't completely degraded their military capabilities. Their percentage of launches per day is down completely. Any place they spring up a hole, we can nail that hole. It's a very 20th century strategy they built for a 21st century war. Those underground missile facilities, those are tombs now. And so, well, we're in day 31. If you look at the amount of degradation that has happened in 31 days, it's been astronomical. If this happened to the United States, we would be doomed. I mean, this would be the end of the existence of the republic as we know it. So the same thing is happening in Iran. It's just happening slow, as Iran is a tough and formidable foe, as we've always known.
Okay, let's point out one thing, viewers, that in Afghanistan, the Taliban was bombed to the Stone Ages. That's what we were told by the Americans. But guess who's ruling Afghanistan today, viewers? It's the Taliban. Because precision warfare, viewers, fools you into believing that you're achieving objectives. Till you don't put boots on the ground, and that's what's happened with Russia too. They realize that they're in this quagmire, and the Russian economy is bleeding. Its people are dying. There's a problem. Anyhow,